Chapter 11, where the guild is being invaded. It has been over 2 weeks now since Mo and Aaron joined the Adventurer Guild. They managed, against all odds they were given and have given themselves, to be a successful adventurer team and became valued members of the guild. Also some other members lost their bets they made at the beginning, because the trio was still Team Purple. During this time, Team Purple earned enough money for Mo to buy new fabric for his disguise. He took a day off and managed to recreate his old disguise like it was before the first day of adventuring. He still kept the old one as spare. For the last 2 weeks the relationship of Mo and Ziggy hasn't improved a bit or worsened. To not starting a fight again with him again, Mo made all efforts to stay out of Ziggy's way, which was really hard in the morning at the briefing and in the evening at dinner time. What bothered Mo the most was, Ziggy and his group never called him by his real name. Instead they called him Bootleg all the time. Sometimes Bootleg Ziggy by Nia. Richard was still the most likable of them. I seemed to not be the smartest around. One day, Mo asked him about his hypnotic abilities and let him get hypnotized. Of course under supervision by Team Red. He woke up later in the hospital wing after having a seizure. Mo hated their guts. Sometimes, at night, Mo would sneak out of his room to meet Yinping. He kept her company and told her stories of his adventures and the past life he had before coming here. How he met Aaron and his strange behavior sometimes. He also asked about her life. About her brother and her parents and why he is not allowed to know where she is during daytime. He told her he was worried about keeping secrets. She always told he doesn't have to and that she were all right. One night after another long day, Team Purple were in their room. Everyone was asleep in the guild and the night was very dark. No moon or stars to see. Mo woke up when someone or something kept poking his face over and over again. Annoyed and still sleepy, Mo opened his eyes. Yinping was kneeling in front of him, still poking him with her paw. It was the first time Yinping was in their team room. "Yinping, what are you doing?" "I'm tired," Mo said, still half asleep. "There are Pokémon trying to break in," she said, worried. "What?" Mo asked, still sleepy. "There are Pokémon trying to open the locked door from the outside. They doesn't seem to be friendly," Yinping explained. "What?" Mo was now fully awake. "Are you sure? Why you tell me?" Hilarious would know what to do. "I can't," Yinping said. "You need to tell the others." "What are you doing?" Aaron has woken up and was just as sleepy as Mo was before. Mo looked at Aaron and explained, "There are probably Pokémon trying to break in the guild." While Mo and Yinping were looking at Aaron, Aaron looked back at Mo like he just told him a bad joke. "Go back to sleep. You had a bad dream," Aaron said and rolled over. "Well, I'm going to investigate." Something is wrong, Mo decided. Annoyed, Aaron stood up and followed Mo, almost bumping into Yinping, who stayed behind in the room with still deeply asleep Charlotte. Mo walked down the dark hallways with a quick pace, Aaron following behind him. "You're overreacting. Everything is fine." Aaron tried to calm Mo down. "I'm not the one who says we're under attack." Yinping was. "And she's not telling lies," Mo explained to him without turning around. "Who?" asked Aaron. Mo remembered that he was not supposed to talk about Yinping. Still, didn't Aaron just saw her right now? Both arrived at the empty entrance hall. "See? No one's here," Aaron told Mo. "Now let's go to bed. I'm tired." "Wait," said Mo. He heard something. It sounded like scratching, sawing. Mo pointed at the entrance. The sound came from the door. Someone must be on the other side. Aaron looked at Mo with wide-open eyes. "No kidding. What are we going to do?" he asked Mo. "I think we're going to warn the others," Mo suggested. "You go back to the team rooms. We need to alarm everyone. I'll tell Hilarious. Mo and Aaron split up and the Mimikyu ran down corridor towards the guildmaster's room. He hoped the other teams would believe Aaron more than he believed him. He arrived at his door and started hammering it with his fist. "Guildmaster Hilarious! Guildmaster Hilarious!" he called out. "It's an emergency." The door opened. Hilarious was now standing right in front of him, looking down on him with an angry stare like when he saw him for the first time. "Do you have any idea how late it is?" Hilarious said like he was about to beat Mo up any second. "There are one or more Pokémon at the entrance trying to get in," Mo said, cowed. "Are you sure?" Hilarious asked, now more calmly. "I know the guild is supposed to be safe, but there is something going on. Aaron is informing the others as well," Mo said, still cowed. "Well then," Hilarious said and made a gesture for Mo to show him where to go. Suddenly there was a terrible noise. The sound of a girl screaming and glass shattering. Mo and Hilarious stood there in shock. Without looking at Mo, Hilarious ran towards the entrance hall. "My guild!" he screamed. Mo followed his guild master, preparing for the worst scenario. He could hear screams and the sounds of various attacks. As he arrived at the entrance, all of the teams were already engaged in battles with other Pokémon. It was just pure chaos. Candle holders were fallen over, a map on the wall fell down and the glass splitters were all over the floor. The door was wide open and damaged from the other side. The air was filled with smoke made from three coughing and it was hard to see what was going on. One of the three poniard flew towards Mo, who just managed to step aside in time. The little guy was knocked out. The other two were still in battle with Spiritomb, who had no problems with fighting both at the same time. Mo ran into the smoke cloud, hoping to help defending the guild. The first thing he saw was Hilarious, smacking two Oddish together over and over again. A Trapinch suddenly came out of nowhere, jumping at Mo, trying to bite him with its big jaw. Mo reacted just in time and used his Shadow Claw against it. The Trapinch, still in the air, flipped and fell down to the ground. Mo looked around, trying to team up with Aaron and Charlotte. "Aaron? Charlotte?" he called out for them. But he couldn't find them in this throng of a battle. A huge flame lighted up the room for a moment. Mo turned around to see a Houndoom fighting Bao from Team Yellow. "They have a Houndoom?" Mo asked himself. He once heard of the power those Pokémon have. This one would be the last Pokémon Mo ever wanted to face in battle. Then, someone from behind him grabbed Mo by his fake ear, lifting him up. "Did you thought you could escape me, little Pikachu?" A light male and almost female-sounding voice said to him. "Wait. You're not the Pikachu." The voice realized and turned Mo around. A small Gurish iced with a scar on the side of his face, like someone or something got him really bad there once. A scratch from something with 3 fingers. Mo recognized that Gurish iced immediately. Andre. The one of the 3 kidnappers. "Hey. I know you," Mo said. "What are you doing here?" The Gurish iced's eyes were now wide open. "You?" Andre said. Mo could literally see Andre's rage rising and rising. You did this to me," Andre screamed. "You did this to me." Before Andre could do anything to him, Mo let out a high-pitched scream as he suddenly appeared to the Gurish eyes to have doubled in size. Andre flinched and let Mo go. Mo wasted no time in getting away from there, running away from the battlefield. "Come back here, you little rat," Andre shouted when Ziggy suddenly tackled him over from the side. Mo needed to think about a tactic. He had to help the others. He had to help his team. But there are too many and too strong Pokémon to face and one is now up to get revenge. He could still hear the fighting continuing even though he was now near the library. His thunderbolt from the distance wouldn't work. It was hard to see because of the smoke, and he could accidentally hit the other teams, and electric-type attacks wouldn't do much about the Trapinch and Oddish. Then, Mo heard talking. It came from the library. Who's in the library? Mo thought and decided to investigate. He hoped it was Aaron or Yinping. He could imagine the situation was too much for him. He also didn't saw Alphonse or Heidi around either. Mo took a look inside the library. Books and scrolls were laying all over the floor, and he could still hear the voices from before. 3 different voices, all female. Mo sneaked inside and hid behind one of the bookshelves. From there he could see 2 Oddish and 1 Gloom. While the 2 Oddish were holding a ladder, the Gloom stood on it, taking books and throwing them away behind her. She seemed looking for something. "This is the 3rd shelf, boss," one Oddish said. "I know," the Gloom answered, angry while taking another book and throwing it over her shoulder. "This is one of the places these adventurers would hide this map. And I'm going to empty every one of these shelves until the others have found it." These burglars are looking for what? Mo thought to himself. A map? What map? Mo looked around. No one else was here. Only him and those plant types. He could take them out himself, but how? Mo remembered there was a box with different rocks, for research purposes. It's an old trick, but there was no time and no idea for something else. Carefully, not to be spotted or heard by them, Mo snuck up to the box and slowly opened it. It was filled with different kinds of minerals, crystals and evolution stones. Mo picked a small, simple and not too rare and expensive-looking rock and snuck to another hiding spot. From there Mo threw the small rock, as far as he could, to the other side of the library. Instead of making a small noise, the rock hit one of the shelves and some book fell out of it, making even more noise than planned. The Oddish and the Gloom looked up. "Someone here?" asked the Gloom. "I'll check," decided one Oddish. "No you don't," forbid the Gloom. "I know this trick. You go over there and get knocked out. Remember, never go alone." The Gloom pointed at the other Oddish. "You go with he." The 2 Gloom looked at each other. "Okay," one said, and both left the ladder to check for the noise. That moment, the ladder fell, together with the Gloom still on top of it, screaming. The 2 Oddish turned around again, seeing their boss face first on the floor, and quickly went on to investigate. Mo first planned to take out one of the Oddish. Now it seemed more clever to take out the Gloom first. Gloom herself stood back up, rubbing her face in pain. "You know," said the Gloom, looking around for the someone involved with what happened. "That we're now being attacked makes it more clearly we're searching at the right place for the map." Mo quickly took a random stone out of the box, hid it under his cloth and changed his hiding place again, hoping for a moment to strike. "You underestimate the power of us, the forces of darkness. And if we fail today, we'll come back," she continued as yellow glowing dust came out of her top. Stun spore. Mo took a deep breath, not to inhale the spores. "I can do this all night long," Gloom said and spread another stun spore attack in the air. "We'll find you, boss. There is one." One suddenly Oddish yelled. Gloom turned around and saw Mo was right next to her. Both now looking at each other's faces. She smiled before spitting her dark purple acid attack at Mo. Mo dashed to the side just in time as the acid hit the wall where Mo stood. "Seize him," the Gloom ordered her minions and prepared for another acid attack. Without thinking, Mo took the stone from before and shoved it right into the Gloom's big mouth to stop her from using her acid again. As Mo prepared to use his shadow claw against her, the Gloom suddenly started to glow bright. This stunned not only him and her, but also the 2 Oddish. "What did you do?" the Gloom shouted after she spat out the stone. Mo asked himself the same. What stone did he took? But there was no time for thinking about such things. Mo saw an empty bookshelf next to the Gloom. Maybe, he thought, and pulled down the huge shelf with all his might. The still glowing and now changing gloom screamed as the shelf crashed down on her. Then silence. Mo was about to run out of air. To not get paralyzed by the stun spores still flying around, Mo ran out of the library to breath again. The two Oddish also left the library and stopped as they saw Mo. They did not attack. They froze in fear for a moment. "Let's get out of here," one said to the other. A cold breeze blew through the corridor. Not just a breeze, a wind, and ice cold. As Mo looked up, the Oddish were frozen solid on the spot where they just stood. Alphonse approached the two Oddish and spotted Mo, who was still out of breath. "What is going on here?" Alphonse asked Mo and helped him up.